Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my channel Engelgeist. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are new, welcome, and for those of you that are not new but are my regular viewers, welcome back. This is the my first attempt at a yearly predictive. Well, my first public video for the collective for a yearly predictive for those with heavily placed Taurus. So those with the sign of Taurus in either their sun, moon, or rising. You guys would want to watch this. This is your predictive video for the year of 2020. The reason why I'm doing this is because people have asked. And so I do want to caveat this with one statement. I believe with free will and free choice that the months that get further out are going to probably become more vague in their message and more apt for change. So nothing that you see here or hear here is set in stone. It's just sort of a broad guideline for what's going to happen for those of you that tune in and watch with Taurus as a heavily placed sign in your zodiac, right? So overview, you can take what you'd like and leave the rest kind of situation. There will be a focus on 12 cards, for one for each card for the month, one card for each month of the year. There will also be 3 other cards focusing on health, love, and finance, and then 2 other cards that I will explain at the end. Now, what I have explained in the Aries video is that the deck that I chose, because we're doing so many cards, because it is a yearly predictive, I'm using a mini deck by Lo Scarabeo, which is called the Harmonious Tarot. Part of the reason why I chose to use this deck also is because it being 2020 and the beginning of a new decade, I think that using the Harmonious Tarot is a nice indicator of the harmony that's not only included in the number 2020, being an angel number, but also the harmony with which we want to represent as we head into this new year and new decade, right? So I thought, ooh, that's kind of in line. So that's why I chose this tiny deck. So it also allows me to put up 12 cards right in front of you on this wood block without it being too cumbersome and all of it fitting into the shot. So it works out well, and we will see how these go with these tiny baby cards. Okay? So, and if you liked the video, please leave me a comment or like, share, a subscribe would be great on the YouTube channel. Share the video out as much as you can. It helps me each and every share. So I really appreciate that. And also, if you're trying to comment right now, I don't have a chat box up, so I can't see comments. I am shooting this originally live, and so if you're watching it live with me right now, I can't tell that you are and won't see any comments, but feel free to come back to YouTube and leave me a comment, or you can comment on the videos and I'll get notified via Facebook. Alright, so let's see what's going on for my Taurians. I love me some Taurians. So let's see here. So for the first month, this card would represent the month of January. So we have the Six of Pentacles. And to me, this feels very lush and lavish, like right out of the gate. This feels like there's a big focus on sort of finance and money coming in. And it feels like there's a little bit of abundance, or maybe quite possibly the overspending. Taurians tend to be really methodical and balanced with their money. That's my impression, at least. You guys are good money earners, and you're usually good budgeters, and can be sort of good with that. I feel like there's a little bit of a lavishness to this card. There's a little bit of awareness of our financial situation in the month of January that we might want to be careful with. We might want to focus in some of that energy. To me, this feels like there's a definite, how do I want to say, maybe a treating of ourselves that uh, I think we can afford. Something in my intuition tells me that I want to say to my Taurians, be careful about how you spend in the beginning of the year. I know you guys are good money earners and you guys are methodical and well planned out and can sort of, pick up the slack, so to speak, later in the year. But this card to me feels like a warning in some ways that, yes, we might want to treat ourselves after the 2019 that we've had, or maybe we've worked very hard coming into the new year, and so we're ready to maybe take that extra vacation or buy that Louis Vuitton purse or whatever it is that we feel like we need to treat ourselves, and we very well may deserve it. That's what this card says to me. But just be mindful of that. I'm not sure why I'm feeling that mindfulness, but to me, it feels like I need to warn you of that in the month of January. Finances could be a bit of an issue. You might want to treat yourself. You might want to be a little bit more splurgy. And you can get away with it, is what I'm hearing or what I'm feeling, but are you is it really necessary? Is it really, the question I would want you to ask yourself in this month, if you do find yourself like overspending or having a little bit of financial, this to me feels like it's an extravagance that maybe isn't necessarily needed, but is desired. We can have it, is what I feel like, but it's going to maybe show up later in the year as a situation that we might have to bounce back from or sort of scramble to not fix, because I don't feel like anything's broken here, but it feels like just be mindful of where you're spending your money and where you're putting your focus on money, because in the month of January, if you are indulging, you could be. I definitely get this feeling of the possibility of overindulgence. So just be careful of that in the month of January. So your next card for February is Justice. So this is a beautiful card. I like that she's very centered in who she is. This to me feels very much like Taurus energy, as like she feels centered. She's in her intellect. She's thinking clearly. She has this sword planted firmly into the ground. She's balancing these scales. So any sort of out of balance energy that we have in January that might be around finances, it feels like it's going to come into balance and get centered by February. So this warning might necessarily, I mean, we'll see what the other cards play out about, but there might be some financial troubles or worries or some expenditures here in January that might come about that feel extravagant or feel indulgent or feel like out of place, maybe. I don't know, maybe they throw us off our game, but by February we'll be back to that sort of steady pull, that sort of awareness, that balanced centeredness, and this goes not only in say our finances, right? But this also feels like what I'm getting a hit on is this is our relationships, our work relationships, our friendships. There's a definite uh, a leveling off in February that's going to happen for you guys. This Justice card says to me that some of you guys are going to have to, how do I want to put this, like almost mediate situations maybe at work or with other friends, between two friends, between family members, whatever. You are going to find yourself being the sort of the stable, the rock kind of thing, the situation where you might be mitigating other people's situations for them, or trying to find balance for them so that they can see eye to eye, or that you can see eye to eye with another person, but you will be fair about it. That's this Justice card. You will be sort of just and and fair, right? So I like that this card is power. Like this card has a certain amount of power to it. It is major arcana, so it says to me that February will be a significant month, and some of the things that come up in February, pay close attention to them. But you have the skill and the keen eye to be able to be aware of them. Okay. Now this is the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups to me feels like we are missing something. Not missing something, but we're not seeing. We're looking here. Okay. This feels like a back and forth as I look at these three cards. I feel like here we might be sidetracked and not paying full attention in the month of January, and there might be some financial situations that pull our attention or cause us a little bit of strain or stress. In February, we feel back on centered, back on our game, back to our usual selves. Things are good. We utilize some of that energy for others, for helping out their situations, or bringing some of that good Taurian sort of, balance into the world, and utilizing that in a very big and powerful way. But then we have this Five of Cups energy come March, where it feels like maybe we've lost something, or something that has fallen away, maybe through this need for justice and this sort of this clear understanding we maybe have to shed something or let something go. But as we let that go, the focus of the letting go of that or the loss of that sort of takes up a little bit of our attention in the month of March. Now, what we want to be focused on is sort of what we still have, which is these two cups up here. But we're not necessarily. We're sort of focused on the aftermath of the spilling of these three cups down here on the ground. And that's fine. I mean, that's a very normal and natural human thing for us to want to do, is focus on what we've lost versus what we have. But there is this opportunity in this month where we can shift our perception. If you find yourself coming back to this video to rewatch it, be key and watch the month of March for you guys. You're going to feel a little bit off your game. And that's what I mean by this back and forth. Like here, it feels a little bit sort of it comes with a warning. This feels self-assured and confident, like I normally see you guys, that energy that I normally associate with Taurian energy. But this to me feels like there might be a misplaced focus that is going to cause sort of maybe emotional distress or worry that is sort of unneeded, is what I'm hearing, right? Because we have these two cups here floating in the air. It says to me, not all is lost. Do not worry by March if you're feeling that maybe you've lost some semblance of what this is in this justice card, the strength that's in this justice card. You're not. It's just, it's something that I feel like you're choosing to focus on in the month of March that is pulling your attention in a way that's exacerbating this feeling of maybe feelings of hopelessness or loss that aren't necessarily the whole truth. Now, the next card in April is the Hanged Man. So again, we go into this energy of the Five of Cups in March. We move into April feeling a little bit stuck or in need of making a very big decision, or a decision that will be significant. The Hanged Man always sort of holds himself in place. He's the one that can kind of also free himself the minute he sort of reaches up and unties himself to cut himself loose from this tree. We're only as hung up as we allow ourselves to be. And I feel like after February, when we move into this idea of this loss or whatever setback happens in an emotional setback that we experience maybe at the end of February, early March, if we tend to focus on the negative aspect of it, it will sort of bog us down through April. But we have the power, and it will be a significant time yet again in April where we get the opportunity to let ourselves free, to sort of make a choice, pick a lane, and sort of stick with it. And you guys, as earth signs, you are definitely good at that, right? Like that's where your strength lies as far as I'm concerned. Like, you know, there's that idea of being a stubborn bull. You guys can be stubborn at times, but that stubbornness or that sort of clarity of purpose that you withhold is going to help you in April, right? It's going to help you to untie yourself from whatever this situation is in these 2 months for you. Now, if this is a job loss, if this is a love loss, or if this is a you know, some sort of emotional setback that you're dealing with, be mindful of the fact that you can release yourself. This is what I'm hearing too. You can release yourself even in the month of in the month of March. You don't have to carry it out into April. The majority of you guys might, but a decision will need to be made by April. A cutting free, a releasing, really sort of severing ties and ending it, and it being significant, okay? It being really significant in sort of this being another major arcana card. It's going to be significant in sort of letting you off the hook and really giving that to yourself. Wow. Okay, so that's your April. With your May is the Chariot. The Chariot is no joke. It's always about fast moving forward thinking sort of energy. And it's moving on to new things. Like as you see this man here, he's on this horse and he's heading to this sort of new castle, this new idea. So I feel like we have this justice energy here, and we go into this loss or this setback in March. And that setback might hang us up a little bit and keep us sort of contemplating, did I do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? But the clearer you get on that during the month of April, and the clearer you sort of own that and stop, like, I don't know, how do I want to put this? Like, don't let it hold you up any longer than it needs to, because come June, you are going to be ready to sort of move forward on a new path, on a new trajectory, on a new route, and it's going to move with speed, swiftness, and clarity. And this is that, again, that sort of, this to me feels like that the swiftness with which is represented in the chariot is also that clarity that I feel like can be in the determination that you find in Taurian energy, right? So when you set your mind to something and you move forward, once you're free of these sort of setbacks in the emotionality of it, in the feeling pinned down by it, you will move forward onto something new that will have promise and be exciting for you come June. Or no, I'm sorry, March, April, come May. So by mid-month, which is June, we have the Six of Cups. And so the Six of Cups to me, this feels like a very beneficial card in the sense that it feels like there's a peace that happens in the month of June or a settling that happens in the month of June. This Five of Cups, what we thought we had lost, we now have found that we've regained them back and then some. So we need to allow ourselves the opportunity to sort of unhook ourselves and move forward towards this new goal. As we start to approach this new goal, I don't think that, I feel like the energy slows down in June, but as we slow down in June, which it's funny, you have the Six of Cups in the 6th month, so there's a parallel there, an evenness or a harmony that I see there in 2020. I feel like this is all about stopping, pausing, acknowledging what you do have and being grateful for that, and then growing that. Giving that the nurturing sort of guidance, love, attention that it deserves and needs as you carry it through to the end of the year. This is going to be a key pivotal point. This energy here, this fast moving, quick decision making energy that's happening in the 5th month as we move into the 6th, that energy slows down, but it slows down. What I'm hearing is it's slowing down for a purpose for us to really acknowledge, take inventory, take stock, see what we have and be grateful for it, and then start to choose where we put our attentions, where we invest our time, where we invest our energy, what we're choosing to build as we go forward. Now, the next card, which would be, this would be May, June, July, is the Ten of Cups. Okay? So we are growing in June and July. Like, no joke. There's an abundance happening here. There's a well-being, a spiritual, and I wouldn't say spirit. Well, yes, it is spiritual because emotionally, Cups deals with the emotions, and the emotions are sort of how the spirit communicates. So to me, this feels like there's an abundance happening. There's a growth happening. There's an acknowledgement happening in these 2 months that is significant, and there's a completion that's happening here in this 7th month, right, in July, where we are coming to a sort of how do I want to say this, like an end emotionally with a situation that maybe was holding us back here. We're really starting to understand that situation from a different perspective and let it go in such a way that we can truly be complete with it and move on from it with actually an acknowledgement of peace and almost like what I'm hearing now is like being grateful for that situation in a way because it brought us to this point. So whatever it might be that we're moving away from or that we thought we had lost or we thought that it had taken something from us, we're going to actually realize that it gave us back something so much more in our awareness of self, what we're capable of, what house in our strength. For each of you, it's going to be different, right? You guys are going to have to pay attention to what's going on to you guys during these months and where these emotions are lying or these strengths or these experiences or the setbacks may be. But wherever they are, to me, this feels like there is an abundance here, there is a completion here, there is an acknowledgement and a gratitude here. All of these people waving in gratitude, sort of waving to this period of thank you, to the Six of Cups and to this Chariot. It's sort of like this sitting back in the month of, I believe this is August. Oh, no. I'm sorry. April, May, June, July. This is July, where you really get this sense of being grateful for the 6 previous months, right? And where you're at come July, okay? Now, August, we have the Two of Pentacles. This is a beautiful card. I love this card. This actually came up for Aries. To me, this is all about balance and harmony. So emotionally, we've done some work here. We've sort of balanced some things. We've found some gratitude in the month of July. In that gratitude, we're able to enjoy ourselves. She's doing a little dance. We're realizing sort of our own sort of self-worth here. The balancing of the two pentacles says to me that there is a balancing financially. So where we were at the beginning of the year financially, we may not feel that way come August. So those of you that might be worrying about a job, needing more income, is the job that you're in correct, that sort of a thing, you're going to work your way out of this and move into a place of financial balance, or at least if it's not complete and total financial balance, it's going to be a better appreciation of yourself and your ability to earn. Okay? So you're just going to have to be patient and get yourself to August to start to see that, to really enjoy that, and to reap those benefits, and understand that all of those responsibilities fall to your shoulders, and you are completely and utterly capable of handling it, right? So those of you that might be having doubts right now, don't worry, those doubts will be clearing come August. Now, the next August, we've got September. Our next card for September is the Eight of Cups. Wow, lots of Cups energies for my Tauruses this year in 2020. That's okay though, because Cups to me is the opposing element of your sign, which is, or the sort of complementary element, I should say. We have the fire and air, which would be wands and swords, go together, and then we have the earth and water signs that go together. So you guys being the element of earth, water is sort of your complement or your opposite, right? So it's the other side of the spectrum. It's the yin to your yang, if you know what I mean. I don't know why I always get goofy when I'm doing Taurus's readings, but I love me some Taurus energy. Y'all are earthy, sexy motherfuckers. Anyways, excuse my language. So, what are you doing? So the cat is like totally clawing my back as I'm talking about this. So, the all this cups energy to me is definitely emotions, right? And the settling of those emotions and the abundance and the completion of these cycles, and then the sort of material sort of balance that comes from that, the joy that comes from that, and it starts to emanate out into the material world come August. By September, I feel like there's also a peace here. We're starting our next sort of journey. She's moving forward into the last sort of 4 months of the year, or the last 3 months of the year, with this kind of balanced sense of who she is. I feel like this is that justice card back here again. It's sort of that same centered female balance. There's a new journey that's about to begin, or a new sort of emotional experience that's about to happen in the eighth, or in this Eight of Cups, in the 9th month, if that makes sense. Ow, why are you clawing at my head? Stop it! Stop it. Sorry, my cat is like clawing at the back of my head. He's like trying to climb up my sweatshirt. So moving into this, into these last 3 months of the year, I feel like you will. There's a self-assuredness. This man departing here says to me that we are letting go of like this feels like the very, very end of whatever it is that we've been hanging on to this year. He's actually finally leaving, or this situation, we've really come to terms. This completion here, whatever it may be, and the gratitude we experience for it, it starts to manifest in like material balance and joy, and that joy really allows us to emotionally release whatever it was at a really full level come September. Okay. Now the next card is October. Sorry, the cat's kind of throwing me off. For October, we have the Three of Wands. Wands is the element of fire, and is the element, also the nature of the spirit. When I look at this, let me just look at this card really close, because these are such tiny cards. Interesting. To me, there feels like there's a steadiness here. There feels like there is again, we're facing towards the end of the year. We're looking towards the horizon. This young shepherd is sort of trying to bring in whatever it is that he has out in the fields, is how I feel. So to me, this feels like this could be spirit trying to really have us look at the bigger picture and be aware of what it is we want to bring in, and defining the sort of the balance of that, and the the ability to sort of reap the harvest is what I'm hearing. I know that this has nothing to do with harvesting, but to me, this feels like the 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 seeing the greater picture, and really sort of choosing that as our focus and moving towards that in a way that is beneficial. Okay, so this to me, when I look at all of these cards, this feels like we are stepping away from something significant in this year, uh, and we are moving on to something that is much better suited to us, but we also have to like be emotionally prepared for that. And there will be like sort of mid-year the emotional settling of that, and now as those emotions settle into September and we're ready to sort of move forward, we start to also move forward with our spirit in cahoots with us, or in line with us. We're emotionally in a more sort of stable and centered place. Materially or physically, we are also sort of more centered and ready to go. And now we're also ready on a spiritual level to sort of move forward. And that's also the three could be the significance of the mind, body, and spirit, and really being ready to kind of go towards the next few months of the year. Now, our November card is the Queen of Swords. I love her. Look at her. She's fierce. Swords deals with the element of air and the idea of thought, or that sort of, the realm of thought. This is clear thinking. This is decisive thinking. This is sort of, again, all of your cards, guys, in the last 3 months, well, not the last 3 months, but these last few months of the year are all looking forward towards the end of the year and beyond. And this Queen of Swords says to me that there is some goal on the horizon that you have now clearly thought out and are so focused on and moving towards that there's no sort of stopping you, is how I feel. Now, if some of you, like I said, these cards that are further out in the year, these are going to be more malleable. So some of you, this could be something as simple as, oh, I want a new car. Okay, I'm going to make a new car. Okay, now here comes the new car, right? I'm just using that as an example. This could be a new job, a new, the sort of the idea of emotionally wanting it and understanding how you want that, and letting go of the things that don't serve you to getting that. That's this gentleman walking away. Then going about tending to the harvest of that at a deeper spiritual level. And when you're ready, the thoughts start to come in, the clarity and the acuity of your thoughts, where there's an accuracy of cutting away what doesn't serve you, and really owning it from a place of authority and uh, uh, not sort of taking no for an answer, if that makes sense. That's what this queen to me feels like. She's benevolent, but she is expecting uh, everything that she desires, right? And she won't stand for having any less. So the eyes on the prize in these last 3 months. Now for December, we have the Four of Pentacles. So this to me feels a little bit, how do I want to say this? Fours generally to me feel about balance and stability, and this feels about that kind of Taurian energy of how do we, there's a clear thought pattern that's happening here in the Queen of Swords, where she knows what she wants and she's determined to go about getting it. But then in the month of December, it feels like this settling of, okay, so now that we know what we want, how do we go about manifesting it in a stable sort of way? How do we sort of climb the small mountains and deal with the small challenges in an effort to get there in a fair and sort of balanced way. And this to me is very Taurian energy. This feels like a good card to end out on, because it is about sort of the earning of material wealth and stability, but it's also about sort of going about it in a very planned and well thought out manner. Okay, so if this is, say, a relationship, I don't necessarily feel like you guys are taking big risks to get there. None of these cards here feel risky to me. They feel more like they're focused on the future and how to do it in a way that is what's the word, like moderated or safe, that takes all things into account. There's no like willy-nilly nature here. There's no, all of these cards feel very calm and balanced to me in the last third of the year. So we're talking September through December, it's all about staying focused on the further goal. And he's also, again, another card where he's facing in this direction, heading into the future with these scales in his hand, like he's sort of keeping that balance. And we have those scales back here in this Justice card. So this is a year about sort of giving yourself what you deserve, but doing it in a way that feels just and right, not only to yourself, but to those around you. There's also a benevolence and a fairness in this Queen of Swords that I feel like is important and key. Now, I'm going to shuffle again. The next three cards are going to represent for your health, which I am not a doctor. So do not listen to my advice over that of a doctor or a trained professional. But this is just a little card to give an overview of what's going on with your health during the month or during the year of 2020, and then your love and your finance, okay? Which I do see a lot of finance cards happening. It feels like because we kick off that January with that Six of Pentacles, we have that Two of Pentacles, and then we're ending off with that Four of Pentacles at the end of the year. There is a definite focus on financial stability and the building of that for you guys this year. It's a good year to do that with this 2020 energy. So you're going to be bringing that into balance, if not by mid-year. You're certainly going to be moving towards it with more balance by the end of the year with that Four of Pentacles in place, okay? You're just going to have to trust yourself. That's the key here. You're going to have to sort of cut away the situations that are not working for you or that are emotionally pulling you in the wrong direction. And you have some of those at work for sure. So we have for our health, and I am not a doctor, for our love, and for our finances. So let's see what's going on here. So for health, you guys have the Four of Swords. This is about really being mindful of your thoughts, I feel like. I feel like this is about, there's these two ladies in repose, and there's one down here, I think, too, all laying on these flowers. And to me, these thoughts are going back and forth. And when I look at all of these cards together, coupled with this around your health, it says to me that you're going to have to be mindful of your thoughts. Emotionally, this is going to be a transformative year for you, I think, especially with all of this Cups energy happening in this Six of Cups, in this Ten of Cups. We have this Five of Cups up here. There's a lot of at the Eight of Cups here. We have a lot of emotional work that's being done for you guys in the year of 2020. And so be mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts are going to affect your health. And I feel like this feels like if there's time to rest, these ladies here are telling me take that time and rest your mind, rest your thoughts, rest your brain. Let yourself do, like, dealing with the emotions of situations and clearing out those sort of some of these situations that some of you might be dealing with this year. As you're releasing them emotionally, it's going to be significant, and that is going to take its toll, or could potentially take its toll on your overall health, depending on where your mind and your thoughts are at. So stay mindful of that is what this card tells me, and also take pause or rest whenever you are able to have opportunity to do so, right? And there is some times where I saw that. I want to say in the month of February would be a great month with this Justice card to be able to pause and take rest. The Chariot is going to be probably a little bit of a busy month, so May would not necessarily be that place, but maybe this 6 So June would be a great month to pause and take rest, give your mind a break, and just enjoy, relax, allow yourself that opportunity. Also, July with this Ten of Cups, a great time to feel abundant, happy, thankful. August, another great time with this balance of the Two of Pentacles. This would be another time to take pause and rest your mind, let your thoughts be easy, really be conscious of that. Even this Eight of Cups energy here, actually I would say, to be honest, from June on is an opportunity for you to rest, even into December. I mean, yes, there is these ideas, these new ideas happening, and these new goals, these new trajectories that you're focusing on in the last 4 months, but allow those trajectories to be fun and optimistic versus weigh you down or cause you distress. And I think with this Queen of Swords here, they're not going to. You're going to be very clear on that come November. But just be mindful of that as you're moving throughout the year. This Four of Swords feels a little bit wishy-washy to me, and it's definitely comes with this idea of taking a break when you need it. Now, your next card is, and I have to say this too before I flip this next card, the love card. I'm hearing right now that you guys don't always necessarily give yourself the break and the credit that you deserve. So make sure that you do that. If there's an opportunity to rest, give yourself that moment to rest. You will complete the work that you want to do this year, even if it doesn't feel like it's all getting done, okay? So just make sure to give yourself that opportunity to rest. Now, for your love card, you guys have the Seven of Wands. This is interesting. Either you guys are going to have a really gay spiritual connection because these two dudes are really checking each other out, or there is going to be, this feels more about, honestly, I'm going to say this. This feels more about significant spiritual connections amongst people you either know or you will meet this year. Okay? So this doesn't necessarily speak to me about romantic love as much as this feels like there is a deepening at a spiritual level of maybe platonic relationships, friendships, the love that is comes from those places, the support that comes from those places can be also deeply nourishing for you guys. And this Seven of Wands says to me that I feel like these two gentlemen staring at each other are bonded, and they're bonding. They have all of this Wands energy coming down upon them, like there's a blessing coming over them. But I don't feel like this is a love energy in the love department. So what I mean by I don't feel like this is a love, I mean to say I don't feel like this is a romantic card in the love department, but I do feel like this is a deepening spiritual awareness around maybe familial relationships or friendships. So there's an honor that's taking place for you guys this year where maybe in letting go of some of the other things that aren't serving you, you're able to give more time and more energy and more awareness to those around you that maybe aren't necessarily romantically involved with you, but you are able to strengthen those relationships and strengthen the love that exists in those so that you can feel supported, and they can feel supported too in turn. And there's a deep spiritual bond happening here, okay? But it doesn't feel romantic, I have to say that. So those of you that are like, oh, I'm a Taurus and I want to be in love, I don't necessarily know that this feels like that. Now, if those of you that are in love or maybe are married and love somebody, this could be an opportunity to, oh my God, my cat is totally clawing at my back. Do not do that. Ouch, that hurt. Um, this could be an opportunity to strengthen those bonds even deeper. But to me, this card does not feel romantic. It definitely feels platonic. So I think that this has more significance for those that have platonic friendships and familial relationships that need a sort of deeper connection. That's going to come into play this year more so than, say, a romantic bonding. Okay, now the last is finances. Wow. Ace of Pentacles, guys. So I think that this speaks to, I said that we start off with a little bit of financial insecurity or a little bit of extravagance. Can we truly afford it? Do we want to create stress for ourselves in the beginning of the month or in the beginning of the year to set ourselves up to have to recover from that? We do have this balancing happening after the mid-year, and then we have this Four of Pentacles at the end of the year. This Ace of Pentacles says to me that yes, overall, the work that's going on here is going to lead to financial success. The emotional recovery that's happening and the mental clarity that's coming with this Queen of Swords helps us to see this vision and understand that we can have exactly what it is that we want in the material world. That can be financial abundance. I also get the hit on this card that this card is not just this year. I hear that very clearly. This card feels like this is sort of not only the culmination of this year, but this is a long-term thing. And the reason why I'm hearing that is because all four of these last 4 months are focused towards the future. They're all pointing this direction, right? They're all looking to the future. So what we're doing here and the thoughts we're thinking and the clarity that we're creating and the bonds that we're making, right? The support that we're creating for ourselves and that we're issuing out to other people in maybe a sort of friendship oriented way or business support oriented way is creating and paving the path for this abundance of wealth. This will happen in this year for you guys, but it's going to continue to get better. And I hear that very clearly. It's not just 2020. Because that Four of Pentacles is on the end in December, there's a deepening of this two becoming this four. And this Ace being the overall for the year says that this is the sort of tone that you're setting, and this will carry into the beginning. This is the beginning of the decade, right? So this might be carried in through the next series of years, right? But as we keep our eyes on the horizon in these last 4 months, and this clarity of thought come November with this Queen of Swords, we do have the capacity to really create some financial abundance with this Ace of Pentacles representing as your financial standpoint for the 2020 year. Now, the next two cards are from also mini decks that I have that I really like that I don't get the opportunity to always use. Now, one of them is called Divine Doors. And I'm doing this to say, the question that I pose as I do this is, what doors in 2020 are opening or closing to us, right? What doors are we opening or closing? For my Taurians. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are watching this video or if you're enjoying this video. If I can get to 1,000 subscribers, I could have chat on YouTube, and then that would be so much easier. And please share out the video. So here are my Taurians' door. It's an interesting door. It's metal. And there's a little bit of light creeping through it, right? We're just opening the doors. I feel like when I look at this door, instantly I feel like there's a guard around our heart. And this is this emotional work that we're doing with all of this Cups energy happening. The 5 of Cups, the 6 of Cups, the 10 of Cups, the 8 of Cups. This is about the cracking of that door and allowing that light to shine through. What is this up above the door? Is that a light? Yeah, it looks like some sort of light switch. To me, it almost looks like it could be Sacred Heart imagery up here. But this light coming through this metal doors, it feels like we are breaking down our walls and starting to become a little bit more vulnerable. That's also this deepening here in this love space about allowing ourselves to support others and them to support us when we need it. It creates that deeper spiritual awareness. So let's see what's on the back. A cure for longing. It says, love is happiness, a spark inside. Live deliberately and choose boldly, then you have arrived. So there's a little thought there. Okay, so what is it that we're longing for? What is it that's going to make us happy? I don't necessarily know. To me, I feel like this, when I look at this, this is about financial and emotional stability for the Taurians this year. And from there, maybe you'll be able to create the foundations that you need to then bring in about that sort of, that love that you really want. Now, the next card is from the Whispering Woods, and this card represents as sort of your overall view or kind of theme for 2020. So this will show me a bit about what's going on. like sort of the idea to focus on in 2020, or the overall theme? Okay, so this is woods. Be like the woods, calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. When I look at this, this makes me think of Taurus energy from the standpoint that the woods are strong, stable, they are, you know, secure. And I think that Taurus energy, you guys can always provide that to yourselves, even when you maybe don't feel so secure. You can always sort of uh, scramble back to that set point. I feel like some of this emotional energy work that you guys are going to be doing this year might feel a little bit out of control, but kind of by the midpoint of the year, you will feel completion and feel better about that. This Two of Pentacles also really resonates with this Woods card, where it's be like the woods, calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. I love that she's dancing in this card, right? Also, the Justice card has that calm, mysterious, and full of life sort of energy to it. So does the Queen of Swords. So keep that in mind. The woods to me is sort of know who you are, know your power, know your strength, and live from that place. You don't have to prove it to anyone. Like the woods don't have to prove the trees, and the woods don't have to prove their strength. They just are. They weather the storms throughout the year, and they're able to handle it, and they still are able to, you know, stand tall and be beautiful. And so I think that that's what you guys will be doing this year. Keep that in mind as you move forward throughout the year, that you are stronger than you maybe give yourself credit for, that you are able to be able to achieve the goals that you have for yourself, as long as you stay focused on them. And the focus to me in the last 4 months looks very clear and very precise. So stay with that, and remember that you are strong. All right, so this is your 2020 forecast. Please leave me a comment on the video if you liked it, if it made any sense. And if it didn't make sense, leave me a comment too. Give it a like, share, and a subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month for your January Tarotscopes in the beginning of the year for further in-depth on this. If you're interested in a private reading, all of my information will be in the description of the video or any of my other videos. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thank you and have a good day.